Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about season 3 of the show, Sex Education. Fun fact, some of the scenes that take place in nature in this show are filmed in the Forest of Dean, and for some Harry Potter fans it may sound familiar considering that there is a chapter dedicated to the Forest of Dean in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, as well as the Forest of Dean is seen in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Part 2. The season of this show came out in 2021 and stars Asa Butterfield, Ncuti Gatwa, and Mackey, and was created by Laurie. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Season 3 of Sex Education sees us returning to Moordale Secondary School, where we meet the new head teacher, Hope. Hope is tasked with trying to get Moordale to be more of a prestigious school and get away from this idea that it is considered a sex school. Now, these students not only have to worry about personal issues that they have going on in their lives, but they also have to figure out how to keep Moordale exactly how it was in the place that they enjoyed going to. Sex Education is a comedy which brings up a lot of topics that most people probably aren't that comfortable talking about at school. If you liked Awkward, The End of the Effing World, or Skins, I suggest that you give Sex Education a try. Season 3 of Sex Education focuses a lot on family and identity. I love that we get to see the return of some of our favorites this season, while also expanding the storyline of some characters who aren't necessarily new, but we had never known more about their life and their backstory. We are also introduced to some new characters as well, and I think the show did a great job of juggling all of these different storylines that are going on. This season we really see Otis trying to find his place while also preparing for the birth of a new sibling. We see how Otis is more reckless and selfish in the beginning of the season, but as the season progresses, he becomes more like his old self. It was cool to see how him and his mom kind of find out that they are very common in certain ways. And one in particular is they both love helping people to become comfortable with themselves. I love how Maeve proves in this show how even though you may come from a rough life, that doesn't mean that you're any less than anyone else. Maeve is probably the smartest person at that school, and I definitely think that time and time again she proves that, she is not only smart, but she is capable of handling her own. It was sad to see this season what she had to go through dealing with her mom and dealing with her younger sister, and how, that situation definitely played a role in, her own personal relationships. I love how in the end Maeve ends up, going to America for a learning opportunity, because you start to realize that Maeve has done so much for other people, and it's nice that she finally takes some time to do something for herself and do something that will, better herself for the future. I was so happy this season that Otis and Maeve finally talked about their feelings for each other. I feel like it's been brewing since season 1 and it had just never been the right time. But this season it was finally a great time for them to talk about their feelings, and they finally kissed. I was sad that they weren't going to end up together because Maeve, had an opportunity that she couldn't pass in America. But I was happy that they got all of their feelings out and that they each know that, when she returns, that they still have feelings for each other, and then they'll see how it plays out when she returns. But for the time being, it was great to finally see them have that conversation, because, it's just been building and building, and I've been waiting for them to have it, and I was waiting for, him and her to be alone, and when they were finally alone, I was just so excited because I knew that it was coming up. Eric and Amy are both hilarious in this show. They have great comedic timing, and both of them have a uniqueness to their character, which makes them stand out. I love how they not only make you laugh and cry, but they also are great friends when you need someone to talk to. It was cool seeing Eric take this trip to Nigeria this season, and his storyline showed how being gay in some countries is not okay, and how hard it is sometimes to come out to your extended family. It was interesting to see his journey to Nigeria and how, his family reacted to, being with their extended family, and how his mom let him know that she is, comfortable with him, but she just knows that it's not safe there. And what she wants to do is that she wants to protect him and that she loves him. I thought that his story, shined a light on, dealing with extended families, for some people, where there is this expectation on who you should marry. I love how Eric found, a group of people who he felt comfortable with when he was in Nigeria, and showed that even in these countries where, there is such harsh laws against the LGBT community, there are people still there, part of that community, that are trying to move forward and change the country and still live their lives the best way that they can. Amy was trying to figure out how to love herself again this season after her sexual assault. It was nice that Maeve, as her best friend, was able to see that Amy wasn't getting any better and suggested that she go and talk to Jean about, what's been going on and figuring out, how she can live her life again. It was an awful thing that happened to her, but I was glad that this season showed that Amy was really trying to take control back, of her life and not let the sexual assault ruin her life. And she wanted to figure out how, she can take control and learn to love herself again. She also takes up a particular interest in vulvas this season. She makes vulva cupcakes to pass out at school to show people that vulvas look different and they're all not the same. Jackson returns this season and he starts falling for Cal, who is non-binary. It was really interesting this season to see them both falling for each other, but Cal realizing that they couldn't have a relationship with Jackson because they themselves was trying to figure out how to navigate life being a non-binary person, and they couldn't also be teaching Jackson at the same time. I love how we got to see this storyline though, to see kind of what are some hurdles that, may come up when you're thinking about starting a queer relationship. This season, we are introduced to new head teacher Hope, who wants to turn Moordale from this sex school to a more prestigious institute. In the beginning of this season, we think that Hope is actually there to, help the students, and, we think she's going to be a cool head teacher. But we come to find out that she wants to squash any notions of individuality and give the semblance of uniformity at Moordale. She reminded me a lot of Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, and with each scene that I saw her in, I became increasingly more irritated. There were 4 characters this season who I felt really got to develop more. Ruby, Adam, Mr. Groff, and Lily weren't new characters, but there were characters whose backstories really hadn't been fleshed out. In this season, we really got to have some time to focus on them and learn a little bit more about why they are the way that they are. And I really love that they took that opportunity to, still have great storylines with the people that we already know, like Maeve and Otis, but then also focus on these characters who were introduced and who may not have had such a big storyline, and give them more screen time to expand what we know about them. Ruby has been a mean girl, and that's all we really knew about her character since she was introduced to us in the first season. In this season, we see Otis dating her, and we come to learn that the mean girl persona that she puts out is more of a protection for herself because she does not come from a prestigious life like others and does not have a whole bunch of money in her family. We come to find out that her dad is disabled because of an injury and that her mom works a lot to help support her family. In the season, when Otis breaks up with her, We see how much of a toll it takes on her, but how she tries to put on a front that she doesn't care and that she was the one that ended the relationship. But we see scenes in which we learn that it really did hurt her a lot because Otis is the first person that she really let into her life, and she feels betrayed and she felt that her trust is broken because he was, came into her life and really seemed like he really wanted to be a part of her life. And, she loved him, but he didn't feel the same way. And, that really hurt her. It was really surprising for me because, I had always seen her as a mean girl, and I never really thought that I would come to feel sympathy for this character because of how mean she had been in the past. But I actually felt really bad for her because, I completely understand not wanting to trust someone, and that when someone breaks that trust, it really hurts you. And, it's definitely something that I thought, was really interesting to see with this character as being so guarded. And, I was glad that we got to learn a little bit more about her family life and learn about why she is the way that she is. Mr. Groff finally comes to terms with his childhood this season. We see him meeting with Jean and finally having a conversation, after his marriage completely falling apart and him getting fired from the school. He really has nothing to lose. And, I think that it made me think of, when you're at your lowest point and you're open to like the most change. And at this point, we start to realize, and he starts to realize that this is a time where he needs to reflect on why he is in this position. And we come to find out that, part of the reason why he's so closed off emotionally is because he was, abused by his father and his brother when he was a kid, and that they ridiculed him at any chance that they got. It was interesting to see his storyline of him figuring out more about, why he is the way he is, and learning that his childhood really played a big part in his life on why he is so emotionally unavailable for his own child. It was interesting to see his character growth this season and him, finding out that, he really liked, what his mom did, which was cooking. And so, he takes up that and he's like learning to cook a little bit more. And, he's learning to become like his true self again and learning things that he really wants to do. And so I really thought that that was great this season to see that. But I think he still has some ways to go because I think that his emotional unavailability has passed on to his son, and I think that that's something that I would hope that they have a discussion with in seasons to come, because that's something that we didn't get to see this season, but it's something that has been brewing, is that they don't have a great relationship, and that's definitely part of the reason why his marriage didn't work. And so I'm really interested to see them have a conversation with Adam in the next season, and hopefully they can mend their relationship and have a more open relationship when it comes to talking about things. Adam was a character who I did not like that much in previous seasons, but he definitely grew on me this season. He was learning more about himself, and I love how he wanted to focus more on his education and how his teachers encouraged him to figure out something that he loves to do. In the end, we see him taking up learning how to train his dog and enter into a dog competition. And I love that he found his passion and a love for something, that's not conventional for someone his age, but it's something that he wants to do and something that he enjoys doing. He loves, being with dogs and working with them. It was interesting this season to see him learning how to communicate better. He's always been so aggressive, and I think that's why I never really liked the character. But we come to find out that it kind of has to stem from his father, who has also been really bad at communicating, and it's really passed on to him. But instead of, just letting that continue, he tries to be more open and tries to figure out more ways he feels comfortable portraying his emotions. And so I love that this character had a lot of growth this season in becoming a better person, trying to educate himself more. And while, he's stumbling and his grades still aren't amazing, he's trying. And I think that's, the best that you can do when, you want to make yourself a better person. Is the first step is always trying. You may fail, but you can keep trying and trying again. And so I love that, we see him going this direction of trying to be a better person. So I'm really excited to see what will happen with his character. And like I said, I really want to see him and his dad have a conversation about, the lack of emotions that have been between them two and has caused such a rift in their family. Lily's story this season is heartbreaking. It's one thing to be humiliated by your peers every once in a while, but it's another thing to be publicly humiliated by your head teacher who is supposed to be looking after the well-being of the students that are under their control. It was sad because she looked so defeated and she really was thinking about conforming to society's ideas of being normal. I was glad though that someone came up to her and told her, that they connected with her story and made her realize that she is not alone and that, there are other people like her that have these different ideas. It was great to see Otis have a conversation with her as well because, it really, made her realize and made us realize that Otis and her haven't really been friends, but it's nice that, he cares enough for her to let her know that it's better to be your own person instead of trying to conform to what's normal. So I really loved how her storyline really let her stand out and show, how hurtful it was for her, but how she overcame this and decided, what, I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to let other people dictate how I should live my life. Jean is hilarious as always by having these casual talks about sex that are very unwanted. I love how her storyline got to focus a little bit more about what it looks like to have a child over the age of 40. Not only was Jean pregnant, but she was also doing a book tour while also trying to manage her household. I love how Jean constantly tries to destigmatize conversations around sexual health and make it something that's a little bit more normal so that parents and these kids know how to have safe sex and know different things when it comes to their sexual health. Isaac irritated me at first this season just because of how he deleted the voicemail from May's phone, which I thought is a complete invasion of privacy, and he just didn't say anything. I was happy that he finally says something this season, and instead of trying to prove that what he did was right, he admits that he was wrong, and then he tells May to take as much time and take as much space as she needs to figure out what she wants to do next. I thought that it was great to have a person who is disabled in this role and to have this conversation about what it looks like for a disabled person to have a sexual relationship with someone. And I was, interested to see that conversation because it was something that I didn't know. And I was glad that it came up in this show and that they were, teaching people about something that, like myself, probably didn't know. My favorite part of the season is when Jean sees Otis talking to Hope about, life after, going through another round of IVF. I feel like at this moment, you realize that Jean and Otis are so much alike and he is definitely his mother's child. It's a scene where she's creeping from behind the door, just looking at the conversation, and you can see in her face that she is extremely proud of how he's handling this situation. Not only is he talking to someone about something that is extremely difficult for them, but he is also talking to someone who has brought him and his friends so much pain. I love at this moment when we realize that Jean and Otis both just really want to help people to live their life to the fullest and, no matter who they are, just really accept, some of the things that they can't change and try to better themselves in ways that they may know or may not know. And so I just love how they both have this willingness to always help people. Sex Education is a comedy, but at the heart of this show, it brings up sex education themes onto the screen. The cast is amazing and they make you so invested into their characters while also learning something that you may have not known about. If you haven't watched Sex Education, I suggest that you watch it on Netflix. Thank you for watching my video. I would love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have not subscribed, please do so you can keep up to date with more of my videos. But besides that, everyone, stay safe, have fun, and goodbye.